Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for our Entrepreneurial Lunch and Learn offered by the Lawrence and Phil Center for Entrepreneurship at Baruch College. I'm Gary Smalls, the program coordinator here at the Phil Center. The Phil Center for Entrepreneurship is a multifaceted division at Baruch College, offering free services and programs for the entrepreneurial community. Today's Lunch and Learn webinar is presented today by Michelle Cadore, one of the owners of the Spot NYC. You got to make sure you say the Spot, right? The Spot NYC and the clothing brand Yes I Am. The Spot NYC is a unique Brooklyn-based retail space that showcases the amazing talents of over 50 independent Black and people of color-owned creative brands. The Spot is more than just a boutique. It serves as an economic connector and a catalyst for creativity. Thank you so much for being with us, Michelle. Feel free to tell us a little bit about yourself before you start your presentation.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, Gary. It's great to be back. As I said before, I appreciate it. And yeah, so I am Michelle Cadore, the owner, as Gary mentioned, of the Spot NYC. Yes, I am clothing. I am about 10 years. I think I graduated from Baruch in 2012, I believe. And so, pretty much changed the trajectory of my career, but I'm here and I'm pushing for the community, trying to make a difference as best as I can. And I'm excited to share my journey with you all. Ooh, are we still here?
Yeah, we are here. We are here.
Okay.
We are here. So it's your work. You can kick it off from here. You can start, you don't have to have a presentation, which is fine. You could just kick it off and start from the beginning.
Okay. I mean, I actually have a video that I would love to share with you all. And it would have been so much easier via the laptop. But how do I share? Okay, I would have to share screen. Let me see if I can figure this out. Hold on. Okay, Google Drive. Give me 1 second. Oh, are you seeing what I'm seeing?
Right now, I'm seeing you. You're blacked out. It just says your name.
Okay, so let me go into. Hold on 1 second, because I just hit Google Drive and it's taking me to Zoom for some strange reason. Try that again. I don't know what that's about, but let's go to Google.
And if push comes to shove, you can always email it to me. I'll show it on my end. You just let me know.
Perfect. That would be great. Just give me 1 second. Oh, I got it. Can you see my screen or is it still blacked out?
It's just I see your Zoom screen.
You see my Zoom screen?
Yeah, this just says your first name, last name.
Okay, got you. Let's try this one more time. Here, share screen. Start now.
Damn.
It's here. Can you see this? The Spot
Yes.
NYC video? All
Yes.
right. We'll start this over. Okay. Are we still here?
Still here, beautiful.
Glad you all can see that. I'm gonna try to take my screen off, come back to you. You can see me. So that's a little promo that I had put together with the help of my creative friends. For like our grant competitions, etc. I was actually preparing for Damon John's Shark Tank, which is a whole 360 moment happening tonight. Um, but yeah, so my entrepreneurial journey did not it did not start as one would think. I think my entire journey has been non-traditional and pretty much, a matter of me speaking life into existence. So I'm going to backtrack to when I first went back to school. I went to Brooklyn Tech. I was a Brooklyn Tech, kid for like 4 years. I was on the school's newspaper as senior editor. Actually, graduated with, well, I actually finished my classes to some degree with like, being third in my major, top honors, got a nice little bronze, uh, medal. And I went off to college. I went to Hofstra because that was a traditional thing to do. You finish school, you go off to college, etc. Except after a year at Hofstra, I found out that there was a technicality with my graduation and I didn't officially graduate. So for 5 years, I was pretty much stuck in limbo, feeling like a failure because remember, I went to Brooklyn Tech. So finding out that you didn't really graduate was like a big thing for me. I didn't tell my friends. I just really like held that to the chest. It took me a while to even tell my mom because of the disappointment, fear of failure, all the things. And then finally, I think it was my 24th birthday, I was feeling sorry for myself. I had gone out to dinner with some friends and I went to the store to purchase, we're all adults here, to purchase 2 Coronas to drown my sorrows. And, I walked into the store being robbed, which was unlikely in my neighborhood. So I got into my friend's car. I told him, drive, drive, drive. I called, of course, and, told the police what was happening. And then I took that as a sign because they let me walk right out. They didn't bother me. It was weird. I just put the drinks down and I walked right out. And I took that as a sign from God that you have so much more to do. Your life isn't over because I'm 24 thinking I've reached, 25. Our friends used to say if you don't have your life together at this point, you're a mess. We were young, we didn't know any better. So here I am, really just realizing, you know what, God may have more for you to do. And so I decided to pursue my GED, which it took me 2 months of studying, self-studying. And I took the exam, didn't tell anybody. I took the exam and, waited for my results, got my results, found out that I ranked in the top 10 percentile. And I went and enrolled into New York City College of Technology because I saw it as a stepping stone. My goal was always to attend Baruch for finance and business. So I attended City Tech, 2 years. I was like, I'm going to keep my head down. I'm not going to really uh, be here for long. Or actually, it was supposed to be 1 year. And, it became one of the best experiences that I've had next to Baruch. And sure enough, I got into Baruch for spring semester. And they told me that I would need to have at least, I would take a year before I would get into my major. And I'm already a sophomore here. So at that point, I went back to City Tech. I picked up 6 classes in spring, 4 classes in fall, including calculus, for which I earned a D. And I was so happy as I worked in the library. I was so happy that I earned that D because that meant I can go directly into my major and I don't have to waste another year, right? So now I'm in Baruch and I'm adjusting because it's a different environment from what I'm used to. But as soon as I start, maybe 2 months later, the JP Morgan Baruch Extended Internship Program became available because at the time, the CFO of JP Morgan, Joe Bonacore, was a Baruch alum. So I put my hat in the ring, and I was 16 out of 200 students to be chosen for that program. And I worked full time. Now I went from, you know, starting over and working at $7.25 an hour to actually now working at $28 per hour full time at JP Morgan while taking class full time at Baruch, while also taking classes in the summer. And I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I enjoyed the money, but I won't say I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I did not like working in a cubicle for 8 hours crunching numbers. It was just not my dish. It was not my thing. And so I figured I wanted to help small businesses to, grow and expand. And luckily at Baruch, there was another opportunity with Financiers Without Borders to fly to South Korea. It was either South Korea or Colombia, and I believe, but we ended up flying to Daegu, South Korea, to help a small biopesticide company figure out how to get into the American markets. And picture this, it's 4 a.m. We are in the an airport hotel. There's a jet blaring its lights inside of our room. We're working on the client's project, on our laptops or what have you, drinking soju, eating wings. And I am on fire. I am like, I love this. I love helping small businesses. This is what I want to do. So 2 months before graduation at Baruch, I'm now a senior. 2 months before graduation, I changed my major from finance to small business management and entrepreneurship, or entrepreneurship and small business management. And I still walk at graduation, pick up 4 classes in fall, 4 classes in summer, 6 classes in fall, and graduate on time at the end of the year. The first class I had was with Professor Holly. And Professor Holly, it was like a intro to entrepreneurship class. And she had us do a pitch competition. And the competition, you had to come up with an idea. Everybody had to vote and say which idea they wanted to work on. So I came up with this idea called Hangers. Free your space, share your style, what's in your closet. And I had 4 classmates that was a part of the idea. I remember during the process, the idea was to pitch at the end of the course, right? And see who the class wants to support. So during the process, we had one of the classmates did not do their part of the work, and we were delayed on submitting our work. And I remember Professor Holly sat me in her office with my 2 other teammates, 2 ladies, and she said to me, "Listen, I see you doing amazing things. Um, you know, I can see you're going to just do amazing things. Don't you ever let anybody stop you from getting the job done," right? And I took that and I held that, and it has served me throughout the years. So at the end of the course, we pitched, and I asked the class for 150,000, and they pledged 1.5 million in Maka money to my idea. Who would have known I would have ended up doing something similar? But so I graduated from Baruch. 2 months later, I landed a position with the Department of Small Business Services. What I did not mention is while I completed those fall classes, this was also the year of Hurricane Sandy. And so I lost everything in my basement, went through 3 days, almost a week of no electricity and all the things, but still did my work. And so when I landed the position with Small Business Services, it happened to be as the grant monitor for Hurricane Sandy. And now I'm at Small Business Services, Department of Small Business Services. I'm thinking I only want to, my idea is like, I'm still like, I want to help small businesses. Or businesses. I want to, work at Deloitte and be a consultant. I'm only here for a temporary time. But they saw something in me, and they asked me to stay on board as their on-the-job training program manager, which I did for 3 years. And as an on-the-job training program manager, I was funding New York City small businesses to hire and train New York City residents. And this was like a $50 million plus fund that I was the only person, overseeing. And then, of course, I had my executive director. So I did that for 3 years. I absolutely loved it. I got to do field visits and, helping these businesses grow. And then eventually there was more money in the budget and they were able to open up some lines for new roles. And I was interested in the director role. Only, the feedback was pretty much, you go back, keep working, we'll see who else is interested, just from one person in particular. And I let that discourage me. But that discouragement, I turned that, no to, it wasn't actually a no. I kind of counted myself out of the race. I should have actually applied, but still I knew it was a no, right? And I was doing the work anyway for free. So obviously I realized I had a glass ceiling above me. It's all right. Now I'm great partners with the small business services. But anywho, so I took that no as, a redirection. I decided, you know what, I am who I say I am. No one's going to tell me otherwise. Of course, I was coming home, standing on the corner of Borough Hall. It's raining, pouring. A cab splashes me from head to toe, mouth open and everything while I'm feeling sad in the rain. But that was my wake up call. It was like, get yourself together, girl. You've done amazing things before. You'll do amazing things after. And that's when I decided to create Yes, I Am, because I am are the two most powerful words for what you put after shapes your reality. And through creating SIM, I just knew I wanted to inspire and empower other people, including myself, because I needed it at the time. And I didn't know how. I didn't know anything about fashion. I wasn't even thinking fashion. I was thinking pillows. I don't know. I was just thinking something. And I told a friend, and she told me about a gentleman who has his own fashion business. And, I decided, you know what, I'll do fashion because you can wear this under your clothes to work just to keep yourself encouraged. And so I met with a gentleman in February of 2016, I think it was. And, I told him, you're going to be my mentor. He had never had a mentee before. And just give me 1 second. Sorry. I'm going to plug this phone in. So he had never had a mentee before. Ooh, but I realized that I can learn from him peer to peer and also teach him things. So he helped me launch my brand. And within, I said that was February. By July, I launched my brand. And I remember my first stranger sale. This woman came and she purchased 5 pieces from me at about $30 a piece. She didn't know me from a hole in the wall. And I realized I had something there, and then we went on. He and I started dreaming about opening up our own space to help other creatives like ourselves to have space to showcase their work. So we dreamt about where we would do this. And remember, I said manifestation, speaking life into existence. I am who I am. So I said downtown Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, Flatbush, and he said, sorry guys, he was, he said Dumbo, and I said, Dumbo? No one goes to Dumbo. But sure enough, 9 months later, mind you, at the end of the year, I kept saying during that time in June, I kept saying by the end of the year, I'm going to be a full-time entrepreneur or in another position earning much more. By the end of the year, I landed a position as an assistant director with Bedside Restoration. I negotiated a 20K jump in salary, a 20K rise in my earnings. And, I was now managing 2 offices, about 20 staff. And I started in January 17th, around the day after Martin Luther King Day, where I'm in my new office. It's over in North Bed-Stuy. And, my mentor at the time, he's doing a photo shoot in Dumbo and he's looking for scissors and he comes across a for rent sign and he calls me and he says, I think I found our shop. And I'm at work, I'm like, what? And so we had 3 days to put our money down, literally $1,500. It was $750 for the rent, a 100 square foot space. And we figured it out. We got it together. We put the money down. We had 1 month to open because this is month to month, right? And Within 30 days, we opened the SPOT NYC in that 100 square foot space we brought another friend in. So it was our 3 brands and an additional 3 brands who are still with me to this day. And we had our grand opening and it was beautiful, you know. And as you heard, within 6 months, we had 25 brands. Within 2 years, we had 50 brands and moved over to City Point. Now, City Point, we manifested also because that year that we started our business, we also did a pop-up at City Point. And that was in the hall, in the corridor, much like what I do now for City Point. And when we had our pop-up, there was a time where we had to store our things overnight, right? Because it's a weekend pop-up. Guess which store we had to store it in? Torley and Toby, the old store, which is now my store. We actually had to store our things in that shop. It was empty. And I remember going to the bathroom, coming back out and saying, wouldn't it be great if this was our shop? And we started imagining what we would do with it. We were like, oh, we'd put this here, put the counter there, you know, all of the things. So fast forward 2 years later now, 2 things happened. Every year at the end of the year, because I'm working full time and then leaving my job to go to my shop right after work and then getting home at midnight, then working on Yes I Am, right? This is the spot that I'm talking about. Yes I Am, I'm also trying to grow, which is my clothing brand. I'm crashing at the end of the year because I'm working nonstop. And finally, in 2018, a lot of things happened. I had a rental property, nice brownstone, that I had to give up, not through foreclosure, but through, you know, court, where my lawyer did not return the down payment and I was forced to sell, right? In that same week, my own house was coming under, you know, foreclosure action. I was stressed. I had those 2 issues. My job, we were under work performance review, and something else happened. My mom lost her eyesight. So here I am in 1 week, all of these things happen. I just have basically like I have a panic attack. And I had a 2-week leave and I started praying to God, like, I really need you to help me to grow this business. I really need you to help me to grow Yes I Am. I want Yes I Am to have commercials. I really want people to know what I'm doing, right? And in that time frame, I finally got back to work, obviously, because you can't be out that long. I got back to work, and I will say May of 2019 or April, I started looking around for opportunities for my brand. Yes, I Am, because I have sayings like, but she didn't quit though. Keep the seat. I want the whole damn table. She believed she could, so she did that ish. So I'm only accepting good vibes and money. So I'm looking for opportunities that align with my business. And I found this conference called Create and Cultivate. And if you don't know about Create and Cultivate, especially for the women, you should definitely check it out. So I, sent them an email and I told them, hey, I see that you have a conference coming up. If you would like to have a sponsor, I'd be happy to sponsor. I'm thinking I'll send them stickers, I'll send them buttons, something with Yes I Am on it. And they message me back and they say, we love your brand, we love the work that you're doing, and we invite you to be a part of our event. Come to find out, they actually had a vendor market, which I did not know. But then they said, we have a sponsor who has gifted 5 booths for women-owned businesses, and they're worth $25,000 each. And in the back of my head, I'm thinking, what would I have to pay for being a part of this event, right? And they just want to have a phone call and have some ask of you. Turns out the sponsor was Mastercard. And when I had the call with them, I'm hiding in the pantry of my office away from my staff, and I'm taking this call, and they're like, oh, we just have some asks. We'd love for you to be a part of this campaign. In my head, I'm like, if they want my firstborn, they can have it, right? And so they had me join their her ideas are priceless campaign, which turned out to be the first of many, because we've built a beautiful partnership over the last I don't know how many years it's been now, like 4 years perhaps, right? So now here I am at my Dumbo location. we had 2 opportunities to move to City Point. Those 2 opportunities fell through because the leasing agents at the time, the first one got fired, the second one never came. The third one now, she comes, and here's this Mastercard poster because they did a drawing of me and her ideas or prices part of the campaign. They gave me like a Subway ad, all sorts of things, and put that in the window. They put that in the window as part of marketing. And so she's like, we definitely want you to come over. And we come over, we end up getting the keys to the place that we were once dreaming about having. Just, just off the cuff, just dreaming this would be cool if it was our shop, right? Third time's the charm. Since moving into City Point, things have rocketed. I actually quit my job 4 months before. I'm sorry, I quit my job in December to transition into full-time entrepreneurship. And the very day that I walked out of my job as the assistant director, that was the day that I actually won $5,000 from Shea Moisture for a pitch competition. And that was interesting because I really didn't have much saved. I was just like moving forward, and I was like, okay, I knew God was on my side. Like that was the best goodbye, So from there, I went on to I'm sorry, from there, 4 months before when we moved in, it was like November. So that was literally 4 months before the pandemic began. So thankfully, being a Baruch girl, being a Brooklyn Tech girl, I have the sense to say, let's stack up our money, let's not spend everything because we're doing so well. We were doing well enough that my 1 month or 1 or 2 months replaced my entire management salary, right? But then we were closed for 6 months. So during those 6 months, we had to pivot, the magic word of 2020. We had to figure it out. We had to rely on e-commerce because we could not open our shop. And because we were in a mall, it took us longer to open our shop. So we didn't get to reopen until September, while our other retail friends opened in June. And so we, got creative. We worked, we scaled our online sales by ramping up our e-commerce. We ran Google ads and, social media, Facebook ads. I did a lot of speaking engagements with Mastercard and Create and Cultivate and Citibank for her ideas or prices conversations, and partnered with Afterpay, Essence, and Amazon in order to expand our audience and expose the brands even further. And that served us well. When we returned in 2021, or let's say by 2021, we launched the Black Creatives and Culture Fest, which started with 15 creatives and 10 artists. People loved it. And then by Juneteenth, it was the first Juneteenth. So we had 75 creatives involved. And throughout that time, so many opportunities came to me where I was not only amplified, but the brands that I've been serving, my team and I have been serving, were amplified. And we just continue to give more opportunities to creatives by giving them space within the shop to do, workshops. And we led business panels, and we partnered with some amazing organizations. So a few things that happened during that time was there's the McBride Sisters Wine Company. I won $10,000 from them for a pitch competition. I won 10 wins pitch competition, small business mom and pop challenge, going up against 5 other New Yorkers in 2021. I also did the Goldman Sachs 10K SB program, which was phenomenal. And I'm still very close to my advisors and my Goldman Sachs cohort to this day. And that was just like a mini MBA. It was, if you're an entrepreneur, I would definitely advise that you look into that program for the future. And there were other things. Mastercard, provided me with commercials with Jennifer Hudson. So I actually spoke that into existence, and that came to be. And this year, I mean, a lot of accolades came, and a lot of accolades came, and it was a lot of work, a lot of hard work. This year, I was named one of 50 Brooklyners to know. And honored by the SBA, Small Business Administration, U.S. Small Business Administration, as Minority Small Business Champion of the Year. But this year, I also lost two of my business partners, right? Which was like a little blindsided, not too much. I saw it coming, but it was a rough year, recession. Even my big corporate partners were like tightening up their budgets. And so it was tough. And one thing I've learned, thank you to Professor Holly, is that you still got to get the job done, keep it moving. And I was not going to close my doors on the community because I'm built for this. So, it's not for everyone, which I understand. But as much as there were wins, there were challenges. And through those challenges, it just helped me to learn to persevere and keep moving forward. So, here I am. I lost my partners, let's say August was the beginning, and I'm still pushing. And I found my groove. I hired people to work in the shop with me, and it's working, things are working. So tonight, after this call, I'll be headed to a dinner with Mastercard, Bank of America, and Create and Cultivate. It's our first event back for the year. And I'll be sitting with Barbara Corcoran of Corcoran, Shark Tank, and listening to how women in business, how you can excel as a woman in business and how you get over the challenges. And I just feel like it's just so fitting because it's definitely on time. And, this whole journey would not have happened had I not believed I am who I say I am. And I had to speak my life into existence. So that's pretty much how I got here, by just believing, doing the work, building great relationships, networks. I have custom printing as well, for which my clients include Lululemons, the Knicks, Sesame Street, Barclays just came to me, Pfizer, etc. And so I just keep trying to figure out how to keep moving, growing, and expanding so that the SPOT can not just be the SPOT NYC, but also the SPOT Atlanta, DC, London, Paris, and our Black Raising Culture Festival can be multi-city and international as well. So we can give those opportunities to other local creatives. That's my story. I see we have some questions. How did
You know
I
what's
do?
so crazy? Like literally, I was like 110. You were like right on time. Oh man. So we definitely have questions, some online, some offline. So we got plenty of questions. So the first question is, how did you gain the confidence to just apply for all these programs? Can you talk about asking for help and building teams and partnerships instead of going it alone? I love this question because I see it being on the campus. We run Pitch Prep, which is a program that I run that helps students learn how to pitch. We have Community Star. We have all these programs. And the one thing I've noticed, and even in our lives, is that sometimes we are definitely afraid of asking for help. So how did you overcome that?
Well, the great thing, one thing I will say, there's obviously, we know this, right? There's power in your network. Your network is your net worth. And the person who connected me to my partner is the same person who's my accountability partner. And so my good sister, Victoria, she would always send me opportunities like, you should apply to this. You should apply to this. You should apply to this. And I would apply and, I just apply. And once I think what gave me the confidence is when I won the first grants, right? And also my partners at the time, sometimes you don't realize it. Obviously, reasons, seasons, and lifetimes. I was able to work on business management while they worked in the store, and I would work in the store sometimes, right? But they were like, you're great at, communicating, you're great at building partnerships, you're great at this. So you focus on that part, get the money, etc. And once I started seeing that, oh, wow, I really can, I'm really decent at grant writing. I can apply for this and tell our story. I must have raised over $150,000 in grants alone. And it's a part-time job. It's like looking for opportunities because I'm like, part of my business model is grants, is getting into programs, accelerators, and seeing what more can I learn, who can I connect to. So I think that one, you build your network, make sure that, especially since you're in school right now, make sure that you're connecting with, great people, because you all can help each other in the future, right? The friend that's helping me, she was my Brooklyn Tech friend, and so we all stay connected. um and so that's one thing. And it took me up until, I will say, last year, probably, where I did not have, what do they call that, imposter syndrome. It took me a minute because I remember, and I'll tell you what it was. I think you might have seen me holding up the mile 7 uh
For the
picture,
marathon. Yeah.
Yeah, that was for the New York City Marathon. Mastercard, like when I tell you they gave me commercials, they had me do a commercial with ABC for the marathon last year. And we had a dinner with one of the Olympic runners and all the things that for with Time Out. It was beautiful. And I remember I'm sitting next to Ginger Siegel, who like adores me. She's the head of small businesses for Mastercard, and I was like, it's so incredible to be in this room. She's like, "Girl, you're in this room because you belong here." And I was like, "Thank you, Ginger." you know, and I'm like, I felt it in that moment. I just knew, like, you know what, you're here because they see you. And prior to that, I'm a part of the Small Business Advisory Council for Mastercard. I also sit on the board for Downtown Brooklyn, right? And when I was first went to the first meeting, this is me as Yes I Am after the Create and Cultivate event. And I don't know if y'all have heard of Fearless Fun, Ariane Simone. But Ariane Simone was sitting on my right hand. And this woman, she's a VC funder. She's in the news right now. I have Create and Cultivate. I have so many women. Hello, Alice. All of these women are on the board with me. And I'm like, what the hell am I doing in this room? Like, why am I here? And here's Ariane like giving me like a hug. "Hey girl, if you ever need anything, let me know." And I'm like, "All right, girl." And I'm feeling like I'm not asking for nothing because I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm like, I don't know these people and they don't know me. And I'm like, I'm feeling so unsure of myself, like I don't belong here. But every time I would see them, they'd be like, "Hey girl." And as time progressed, I realized you belong here. You bust your butt to be here. You know your stuff. You know what you're doing. And so yeah, just be around people who will encourage you, build the right networks, give as much as you get, and just believe that you are, that badass business person. Do it.
I love that question. And this is why we do lunch and learns, because we don't want to romanticize the journey. We
Mm-mm.
want people who are going to tell it like how it really is and don't romanticize it. And imposter syndrome, the fact that you can admit, even with all your success up until 2022, which means you've had a number of successes and victories in that time period. And
Mm-hmm.
still, it took another moment for you to be like, okay, I do belong here. And I think
Right.
so many students, so many, especially CUNY students, Baruch students, have this sense of, I don't belong. Like, no, your ideas are valuable. And this is why we run the programs we run, because we want to hear your voice.
Mm-hmm. I will tell you this, at the city, which I did appreciate, they only hired Ivy League students and Baruch students. That was it. It was 4 colleges and Baruch. And our commissioner, who now is on speed dial, both of them, the first one, Rob Walsh, he came back to teach at Baruch. So just know, just because you're CUNY, don't ever shrink because of that. Baruch is very highly regarded out in these business streets. Okay. It is.
Absolutely. I've never had any problems looking for work or finding work
Mm-hmm.
graduating from here. I have another question, which is similar to the first. The question was, what are your tips for overcoming fear and launching my own business? So similar but different, but like this seems like more like a ground level, like taking that step from having a full-time safe job to like, you know what, I'm gonna
Ooh.
launch this.
I have 2 answers for that. The first one is when I launched Yes I Am. Um, I remember I said I met him in February, but I did not launch until July. That's because I kept avoiding launching. I went traveling because I was saying I'm going to travel and da da da. So I spoke that into existence. And then finally on my birthday, I was in Egypt and there happened to be like a little mall attached to, it's a casino hotel with a mall attached, and they had a t-shirt making kiosk. So I went and I made my first t-shirt in Egypt, and it said, I am dash 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 with an exclamation mark, right? Dash, like where you fill in the blanks. That was my first design, and I wore that back home. And I remember, like, that was me taking my first leap because I was afraid. I didn't tell any of my friends when I had the launch. I didn't tell but two of my friends. I didn't, normally you tell your whole network, come support me. I didn't tell anybody, And then I just posted it after because I was afraid, one, I'm in a traditional job. I was afraid that people would be like, what is she doing? I was afraid no one would support me. One thing I've learned, your friends are not your customers. Commit this to memory. Your friends and your family are not your customers, right? So when I said I got that stranger sale and it put me over the moon, it was because she owed me nothing. So that was the thing. You just have to be at that place where you're ready to try something different, and you do it anyway. Do it afraid. I did it afraid, and here I am now. The other part was now leaving your job. So for me, it's funny. I get to that point where I'm just fed up, and I'll tell you what, I was on the train. I would be heading to work. I worked in Lower Manhattan, so I'm in Canarsie. I take the train, the bus halfway, and then I take the train. As soon as the train hit the tunnel after Borough Hall or whatever stop that is, High Street,
Yep.
tears just started involuntarily falling down my
Yeah.
in my last year on the way to work. And I'm like, I'm like, I get teary-eyed when I think about it in a funny way, because it was like, your body is telling you, I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this. And I remember one of my friends, I call her my sister girlfriends, she was a deputy director, lawyer of the firm, of the company, and we're best friends to this day. She was like, she took me into the room. She said, girl, what you gonna do? Because you are miserable here. I was like, and I said, I got pains in my arm when I come in. And she was like, that is not a good sign. And so she was like, how can we help? How can I help you? Start looking for things and whatnot. But it was by the grace of relationships. I've built wonderful partnerships and relationships. My Brooklyn Navy Yard counterpart told his boss I wasn't happy. And he said, give me your resume. I'm going to give it to this person who's looking for an assistant director. And that's how I got the job. I obviously interviewed 3 times, but it was through the power of my network, again, of how I was able to move along. And, and I kept speaking that into existence, saying by the end of the year, I'll be a full-time entrepreneur, as I said. And she offered me the position, and it was a lateral financial move. And I had said, no, I can't do this, because what's the point? And she said, what do you want? I said, I want 20,000 more. She said, if I can get that for you, will you come with me? And I was like, if you can get that for me, I will run with you into the sunset. I told her that straight up. And she got it, so I learned how to negotiate for myself and stand up for myself early, which served me well when negotiating my rent in the future, right? And now that old boss of mine is actually my neighbor. So if you ever come to City Point to visit the SPOT NYC, she and her husband own Privilege 2 doors down, because when I left, I was like, hey, sis, they have room on the block. Come on over, as she and her husband opened her business after. So, yeah.
You can't make this stuff up.
You can't.
You can't make this stuff up.
But I will tell you, like, even with my partners leaving, I went through, like, I had that moment where I was just like, can I do this by myself? Like, I had them the whole way, which helped with my confidence too. But I also have a great team of friends, women, men, all sorts, business owners. I'm surrounded by entrepreneurs. And of course, I have the Randy, the not borough president, I'm sorry, all of the leaders. So downtown Brooklyn, Regina Myers, Randy Pierce, Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, Antonio Reynoso, the Brooklyn president, borough president, like they all support me. My old commissioners, they all support me. So it's great to have like these wonderful people in my corner who remind me that I can do this and I'm doing good work for the community.
This is awesome. It's so, and we talk about this all the time, relationships, meaningful
Hmm.
relationships, and not just one-sided, what can you do for me relationships. You spoke about adding value and also reaching out to people and see how you can help them as well. And I know
Hmm.
sometimes students talk about like networking events are weird. And it's because, you know, and I've experienced this where you go to these networking events, everybody's only there for what they can get from people, and they're
Right.
not really there like how can they help others. So it makes it weird. And it seems like your story, and you know, I'm a little informed already, but knowing your story about collaboration relationships really, if anyone's listening, which I believe everyone is, you know, relationships and networking in meaningful ways can really change the trajectory of not only your entrepreneurship, but just your career in general.
Yes, absolutely. I feel the way that I got selected to be on or asked to be on the board for Fulton Mall downtown Brooklyn was because of the work that they saw me doing with the festival, right? And the festival was because City Point came and asked, "Hey Michelle, what do you guys want to do for 2021? Do you have any event ideas?" And so I partnered with them. They gave us free space. So I partnered with them to put on this festival, and it was really to help create opportunities for the community and to help bring traffic to City Point, right? So in doing that, now downtown Brooklyn sees it and they're like, I want you to sit on the board because we see you're doing things down here and you're helping, right? And so now I'm always like, now downtown Brooklyn had some events. They're like, what, we're trying to do this. So I'm thinking, who in my network do I know that I could connect them to that will help with what they need. Same with Brooklyn Chamber. He wanted me to Randy wanted me to moderate something. I told him about another friend who's a great moderator because I was flying somewhere else to speak, and they loved her, and now they're like, Michelle, what can we do again together? We're just planning for next year, so I never go into things with just what can I get out of this, but how is this a mutually beneficial relationship partnership that we can build, right? Same with Mastercard. It's, we have this opportunity we would love for you to do, and I'm like, I have this opportunity I would love for you to pay for, like, how can we make this work together where we're always supporting each other and making sure that you want to know what the mission is of whoever it is that you're partnering with, so that you're seeing how you can help them amplify, and reach their goals.
Absolutely, man. So good. So we got so many questions between the chat and the Q&A. It's a lot. I'm curating them as they come in. I like this one. How did Baruch prepare you for this? I like this question.
Woo. So I told you the Professor Holly story, right? Um, and I feel like Baruch is just very, so I told you I was at City Tech, which was very family like, warm, and I'm not saying Baruch is not warm, but City Tech was like a different experience, right? Baruch was more, we're about our business, right? And we were about our business at City Tech too, but Baruch is, we're about our business. Like, people are coming to school in their suits and, even as young people, not necessarily they're working yet, but we were just very focused. And I had been exposed to so much, right? Remember I said, I wanted to be a finance major, but I mentioned the JP Morgan internship. I mentioned the South Korea Financiers Without Borders, which was created by a Brooklyn Tech grad, mind you, who also went to Baruch. I was like, ooh, ooh. But those experiences really shaped me because it helped my trajectory, for one. But in general, I was just surrounded by some very ambitious, amazing people, and my professors were awesome. I think Dr. Caslin, if I'm not mistaken, I hope I'm not mispronouncing his name, but he was another professor, or Professor Caslin. So Baruch would have this thing called well, our entrepreneurship major had this thing where we would have co-working sessions like on Fridays, and we would come to, I don't remember where we went, but it was like either the entrepreneurship center or some place, some room we met, and it would be like 10 or 15 people. Random people would come, entrepreneurs in the making, and we would share our ideas and work on our ideas and just talk while we're doing our thing, you know. And that inspired me to create the business corner when I left Baruch, because I'm like, I want to be able to continue to have co-working sessions with my fellow entrepreneurs. And even to this day, I lead business workshops at my shop, or I connect with partners to have business workshops at my shop, like SBS. Like BNYC, can you come? We MWBE, can you come and teach the entrepreneurs how to get tapped in? Because I know since I worked there, but how do we expose these things? So Baruch is just it's
Right.
such a there's such a vast knowledge, between your professors, between your fellow students, your alumni. Like there's a vast knowledge there, lots of connections there, lots of opportunities if you keep your eyes open and not just go in there for school and out. Go after those internships, look for those extracurricular programs. I also did the transfer. It was a transfer program where we helped transfers. So people who transferred in, we were mentors to those transfers. So my best friend at the time was a transfer that came in, and we had so many adventures together. You can build great relationships and learn just a lot while you're at the school, which but just really understand the value of a Baruch education and a Baruch network. I
Wow.
wouldn't be here if we didn't run into each other, right?
Right, right. That story, I know we got like 3 minutes, but our story is a story of connection, right? Of
Hmm.
simply, real fast. I needed something for a concert I was hosting. I didn't think I was gonna make it in on time. My words were, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. I work at Baruch. And then Michelle
Yep.
says, "Oh, like now it changes the whole dynamic of the whole interaction. So I do make it, and the rest is history. But that one moment just changed everything.
Yeah.
That
I was like,
interaction.
Bearcat. All right.
Yeah. So our story is that. So
Yeah.
it's such a that's like real life. Like
Yep.
that's why it's happening, and just your willingness and the excitement, like myself and other alumni, where there are more of us who are excited to give back to the students than students may know. There's really a lot of
Hmm.
people that really want to give back. So we got room
I
for
love it.
possible two more questions. The next one is, how do you keep your resilience and just still being able to be open to learning and helping others on this journey?
I'm very faith-based. I really had to lean on God, in that first 2 months that I was in the first 2 months that I was like by myself and going through all the transitional trauma of it all, because it wasn't a clean break. And so, there were times where I had to remember, I had to pray for clarity in the situation, and it was delivered. So that was one thing. The other thing is, I have people around me who remind me who the hell I am, right? And trust me, I'm a very, very humble person. There are times where I don't, people wouldn't even know some of the things that I do or have done. And my friends would be like, why aren't you celebrating this? Why aren't you, but they will remind me who I am when I fall down. They remind me what I've done. And one thing that I was encouraged to do maybe 2 years ago was to keep a win book, right? And so a win book, like a journal, you write down all your wins in there. Every time you win something, every time you achieve something, you write it down. And then you look back at that, and that'll remind you, like, the things that you thought you wouldn't make it through, you have, right? Um, and I think sometimes when we look at challenges, we look at them as roadblocks, but I look at them as opportunities, because again, I'm very spiritual too. I'm like, why is this happening now? Anytime something happened, it means I'm about to level up. And so when I talked about 2019 or 2018 crashing and all these things happening financially for me, there were times where I would be heading to Baruch, and this is Suicide Awareness Month, right? I was under deep stress, and there were times where I was heading to Baruch and I'm standing in the train station and I'm looking at the train, I'm like, but I couldn't do it because I have my mom who, I'm a caretaker. She has cataracts. So I have my mom who relies on me, obviously. And also I just couldn't do it. I'm like, you just have to push forward. And I always think back, like there are times where I wanted to give up, and not just like give up in life, but just give up in general. And if I did, I wouldn't have had that next opportunity that was coming for me, right? I wouldn't have had the Mastercard. I wouldn't have had the Jennifer Hudson commercials. I wouldn't have been able to go speak to 400 financial companies on behalf of Mastercard last year. There are so many things that I'm like, wow. So I really look at it as like, even with this right now that has happened, where both of my partners are just like, out of nowhere. Well, one I held accountable, the other one, he just was like, he burnt out, and then he just was like, I don't want to do it anymore. And for me, it's like we built this together. It feels bittersweet because if I get, as success grows, I'm not doing it with them, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm probably about to go to my next level. Like God probably has some stuff set up for me. And unfortunately, that was a part of the journey, but we weren't meant to go the full way. And I had to swallow and accept that because I wasn't ready to accept that part. Right. So that's how I look at it. I'm like, this challenge that's going on right now, I've already moved past it. But one thing I kept saying from when I finished the Goldman Sachs program, had to work on a growth opportunity. My growth opportunity was to get Brooklynish into iconic retail shops like Foot Locker, Barclays, Fanatics, and, big names, Jimmy Jazz and such. Every time I would say that, every time. Now that is just me. All of a sudden, I get a call out of the blue from Barclays. Hey, we want to have you help us to create merch for our season pass holders. And I'm like, oh, snap. And I'm like, I can talk about y'all. I'm like, like, I've been calling your names into existence. So I'm like, I don't know what God has on the horizon for me, but I have to keep even just telling this story. It's like, these are the things that remind me that you're not done. There are things left for you to do. You have your jet plane dreams. So just keep pushing. And I had asked my good friend, Vicky, who helped me get into this in general, do you think that we're crazy to be dreaming this big and thinking like, and she's like, you have to have a little delusion to, and I love it. I'm like, yeah, that's what keeps you holding on.
Man, we got so many questions, but we promised 1:30 in time. The last question is, how can people stay connected with you after this lunch and learn?
Absolutely. It was a pleasure. First of all, thank you for having me. Thank you for all the wonderful comments and questions. And I am very open doors. So I'm at the shop on Fridays and Saturdays, from 12 to 6. You can always pop in and say hello. My Brooklyn Tech kids do that now. Not kids, they're kids, the Brooklyn Tech students, because I did a partnership with Brooklyn Tech for their merch. And so now their parents will come and bring them, or they'll come and say hi. So you can do that. Or you can contact me at info@thespotnyc.com. Gary will share my info with you. You can follow me on Instagram. Yes, I am _Michelle C, or the Spot NYC. I am not as active as I was like a few months ago because my head is down and I'm focused, but I am always happy to help, people. I'm always happy to help people. So just, come and connect with me. If you have an idea, you need to flesh something out. I'm also a business consultant. So, I have Cadore Advisory Group. So feel free to reach out. And on Wednesdays this month, I'm not going to be there today because I have the dinner. But next Wednesday, we're having our last installment of self-care and suicide awareness prevention with my friend and brand partner in shop, Let's Converse. She's a licensed social worker, MSW, LMSW. And she's leading, community-centered events in the shop from 7 to 9. So the last Wednesday to September 27th will be a game night and a karaoke night. And that one is titled Joy. We're coming together as a community just to, enjoy ourselves for that last day. So feel free to come by.
Wow. Michelle's not lying. Like literally, she was at the shop. She was at the spot. She was there.
Yes. Well, I don't have weekend staff yet, so I'm definitely there Friday through Sunday, but I'm there. I'm definitely at the spot. You can always contact me and ask me a question.
Absolutely. I want to thank you, Michelle, for spending time with us and presenting. We are super appreciative of you being with us. Thank you guys for participating with us. We be on the lookout for a follow-up email of today's recording. We'll make sure you get that. Our next Lunch and Learn is going to be on Wednesday, October 4th, same time here on Zoom. If you haven't registered, you can definitely register for that. And the name of that will be Accidental Entrepreneur with Morgan Mack from Rockaway Candles. So Michelle, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. Oh, sorry. Thank you. And I wish everyone the best. Do stay in touch. I would love to hear from you.